It hurts, doesn't it? When you've trusted someone with all your heart, and then one day, they just up and decide to throw all that away. While some might fall in despair, there are a few bunch, ones who suck it up and come back stronger. Instead of staying down, they rise up to new heights, leaving their traitors in the dust of their overpowered stature. Welcome back to Animeology. Today we'll be discussing some anime characters who were betrayed by those dear to them, only to come back full badass and show their haters that they aren't ones to be trifled with. Number 8. Naofumi Iwatani. The Rising of the Shield Hero. Summoned to a fantasy world to protect its people against the threat of waves, Naofumi's life takes another major twist when Malty, his only party member and the king's daughter, accuses him of assault, resulting in the utter tarnishment of his reputation as a hero. Banned from the royal palace and ridiculed wherever he went, our shield hero takes in a slave named Raphtalia, and with a heart filled with rage and disgust, begins his long journey to achieving overpoweredness. Despite his hostile behavior towards women, Naofumi treats Raphtalia kindly, providing good food and clothing in exchange for her sword. As the journey continues, he welcomes Fido and Melty into his party, slowly regaining his once lost innocent self. There are a number of moments when his hatred takes over, but the gang is always there to bring him back to his senses. Malty and the king's treasons are eventually revealed to the whole kingdom, and a public execution is held by the queen. On the day of their execution, moments before the main event, Naofumi intervenes and lets them both live, with the only punishment being a change in their names. Malty is bitch and the king as trash. Number 7. Hyakkimaru Dororo. Episode 1. What can be more heart-wrenching and hurtful than the fact that your own father has sold your body to the demons and ordered your execution? In the case of Hyakkimaru, this is exactly what happens. This anime takes place in the Sengoku period of Japan, where a desolate and barren land is on its final breath. Lord of the land, Daigo, willing to do anything to save his land and wealth, makes a deal with 12 demon gods to bring prosperity upon his land, in exchange for anything that they desire. It all comes at a price, as his son is born without limbs, eyes, ears, nose, or even skin around his body. Disgusted, Daigo orders that his son be killed, but the old woman casts him off in the river, leaving rest up to fate. The limbless child is eventually saved by a doctor named Jukai, who adopts him, gives him a name, and makes prosthetic limbs for him to function and defend himself. Hyakkimaru, stripped of his limbs and left with nothing but a soul when he was born, slowly trains and builds himself to be a true fighting machine, and at last defeats the 12 demon gods, regaining his body. Number 6. Emma and the Gang. The Promised Neverland. Episode 1. A mother is supposed to be your best friend, your caretaker, the light of your life. But when you're living in an orphanage called house, well, let me tell you, that house is anything but a house. With 38 children who spend their wonderful days playing games, studying, and taking part in tests until they finally get adopted, the show starts off quite wholesome. But one night, as a 6-year-old innocent Connie is being taken out for adoption by the house's mother, Isabella, 2 of the smartest kids in the house, Emma and Norman, try to catch up with Connie to hand over a stuffed toy that she forgot at the orphanage. Their whole life is turned upside down when instead of Connie, they discover her dead body inside a truck. Petrified over what they just saw, both Emma and Norman hide under the truck, where they hear the ongoing conversation between Isabella and an actual talking demon. It's there that they both discover that the house was actually a farm, used for raising humans as food for demons. Emma and Norman both run back to the house and make their plans to save all the children and escape from the meat house they were told was their home. Stepping out of their comfort zone and breaking a whole lot of rules, they finally manage to escape the boundaries of the house, promising to come back and destroy the satanic deeds of Mother Isabella once and for all. Number 5. Keyaru Redo of Healer. Episode 1. When you've been subject to years of abuse under the hands of the people that you thought were your friends and family, it doesn't take long for you to truly despise them from the very fiber of your being. Keyaru, a healing magician blessed with the hero's insignia, was subject to physical abuse for 4 long years at the hands of his own allies, making him see just how corrupt the Gyoro kingdom was. Captured, beaten, and forced to heal injured soldiers, Keyaru went through hell until finally he decided to take matters into his own hands. After defeating the demon lord, Eve, he obtains the Philosopher's Stone and travels 4 years back in time to take revenge against his torturers. With his past memories still intact, Keyaru, now Keyarga, hunts down his abusers, punishing them in quite, interesting ways to say the least. As for Princess Flare, his main abuser, he wipes out her memories, alters her appearance, and renames her Freya, convincing her she is his servant and lover. Number 4. Masamune. Masamune-kun's Revenge, Episode 1. Rejection can be a cruel thing. But what's worse than a rejection is when you're so horribly ridiculed that your whole school life gets destroyed. Masamune used to be a fat boy who happened to have a close relation with a dazzling and out-of-his-league type of girl named Aki Arakaki. Until one day, she cruelly rejected his sincere proposal in front of his peers, and to top it off, gave him a nickname that stuck, Pig's Foot. Masamune, pivoting his focus on taking revenge, began dieting and working out every day so that he could become a fit and handsome student in high school. When he encounters Aki again in high school, she doesn't even recognize him. Taking advantage of the situation, he commits to seducing her into falling for him, and once he has her under his control and falling head over heels, he embarrassingly rejects her. What comes around goes around, I guess. It doesn't end there. Humiliation isn't enough for Masamune anymore. He befriends Aki's classmates and servant to get more information and completely crush Aki in exchange for the years of torment and embarrassment he went through. Number 3. Hajime Nagumo, Arifureta, Episode 1. Everybody loves a good revenge and comeback story, but what's even better is when it's not all about revenge and hatred, but about growth, where the main character uses the betrayal as a catalyst to fuel his inner desire to be stronger and better for himself rather than just for the fun of it. Which makes me come to the life of Hajime Nagumo, who after getting isekai to a fantasy world with all his classmates, gets betrayed and thrown into the depths of a dark dungeon by one of them. Hajime comes face to face with some of the most terrifying, beastly creatures he could have ever imagined in his life. He struggles to survive, but keeps getting stronger as he fights his way against monstrous bears and wolves in the dark abyss. He comes to meet the vampire, Yui, who shows him around the ropes of the dark abyss, and in this way, journey of a once wimpy, weak boy grows to make him one of the strongest fighters in the world. Though, the reality check that his own friend betrayed and left him for the dead does not live rent-free in his head, as he focuses all his energy and time into perfecting himself and leaving the abyss that he was trapped in. It's so rare to see the main protagonist showcase such wisdom and heroic behavior, where he doesn't wear revenge and hatred as a cloak around his shoulders, but uses it as a stepping stone to be a better person. But it isn't to say that it doesn't have any perks, cause now he has his own harem filled with the most beautiful women. My boy is winning. Number 2, Avilio Bruno, 91 Days. "91 Days takes us away from the traditional Japanese style art room to a more Western-dominated scenario. This show portrays the tragic life story of Avilio Bruno, who gets to witness the murder of his parents firsthand, ending up on the wrong side of mafia. Avilio's entire family was massacred, while he managed to escape. Running away from his hometown, the place that took almost everything away from him, Avilio had only one thing on his mind: revenge. Every night, as time went on, he dreamt about that night, again and again, reliving the sight of his parents' death all over again. After 7 years of training and grooming himself, Avilio finally comes back to his hometown, now fully ready and hungry to take his fill. There's a saying, when a lion's hungry, it eats. And that's exactly what Avilio does, as he hunts down the Mafia members one by one, slowly but surely filling his scarred heart. Number 1. Thorfinn, Vinland Saga. Truly deserving of its highly status and recognition, Vinland Saga beats off every other anime when it comes to perfectly portraying the emotions and hatred of a character, and his bloodthirst for revenge against his father's murderers. The anime revolves around the life of Thorfinn, who after witnessing his father get betrayed and killed by the notorious Askeladd, joins his crew in hopes of one day taking revenge for his father. As the story progresses, the weak little Thorfinn keeps getting stronger, besting the strongest of foes. But when the time comes for Askeladd to exit this realm, it unfortunately isn't by Thorfinn's blade. Nonetheless, Vinland Saga has had one of the most positive feedback from fans in terms of the plot, the character buildup of the main as well as the side characters, not to mention the CGI and graphics used here are beyond its time. Vinland Saga is an anime worth watching and has moments that'll keep you completely transfixed onto your screens, waiting patiently for the next plot twist.